According to the current art director over at the developer that's working on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I'm working very hard not to say something ridiculous right now, Indiana Jones is not going to encourage you to utilize gunplay. This should be fun to talk about on That Game Plays. Hi friends, it's me, CC, here for That Game Plays, and of course I'm joined by a whole host, a menagerie of the team right now. We've got Nolan Thunder, Stone, Cold Loki, and the amazing monster himself, Marvin the Movie Monster. How's everybody doing? You guys good?
Woo!
All right.
Hanging in there.
It wasn't until I heard about this news about Indiana Jones. Now I'm like, oh.
It's like with Indiana Jones, it's like, what more can they do to him? What more can they do to him after the last horrible year that he's had?
He had a rough year. I mean, he may go down in history as having the greatest movie flop of all times, and that's actually saying something considering Crystal Skull. But let's jump right into the story. Our great friend Spencer Baculi over at Bounding Into Comics put this article together, and it's brilliant with the title Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Creative director says the game makes sure to not encourage gunplay because it wouldn't be true to the character. Oh boy. Let me tell you, of the most... Go ahead.
No, so now Indiana Jones doesn't use guns? That's news to me because I seem to remember 3 movies where he shot an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look up Raiders of the Lost Ark scenes on YouTube, like the 4th video you find is him versus that swords dude, and it has like over 4 million views. So I guess people just forgot about that scene.
And they even joked about that in Temple, where he went to go get it and it wasn't there. And he was like, oh no, I'm actually going to have to fight this guy. He immediately went for his pistol and it wasn't there. So I don't see what they're smoking.
Not to mention, when the Muppets went to Walt Disney World in the famous made-for-TV movie, The Muppets Go to Walt Disney World, when Kermit is Indiana Jones, he shoots like 8 people.
That's actually true. Now, interestingly enough, according to the game's creative director, Alex Torvenius, while Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will allow players to pick up and pick off enemies with a variety of guns, the team at Machine Games took special care not to encourage this method of play because, in their opinion, such a depiction would not be true to the eponymous hero's character. Gentlemen, is this true to his character or no? Based on the obvious examples you've given, maybe they think so.
Maybe they're confused because Indiana Jones is a college professor. Maybe they think he's some kind of weenie lunatic. But
pacifist.
No, this is a college professor who is a gun wielding, whip cracking, wise cracking, absolute bad A. Oh no, I'm with you, and I agree with you. But anyway, this fellow over there at, Machine Games, what a name. Torvenius, whose ongoing tenure with said developer has seen him previously serve as art director on all of the Wolfenstein entries, which had no gunplay at all. None.
Of course not.
Yeah. I mean, the New Order, the Old Blood, and the Colossus, Cyberpilot, and Youngblood revealed this detail regarding Dr. Jones' upcoming adventure during an interview with Edge Magazine's Jesse Vitelli. We do not encourage gunplay, explained the game's creative director. It's not being pushed as the primary way forward. The primary way forward is always trying to use your wits and your whip. Your wits and your whip.
Maybe they stole something from that Lord of the Rings song where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to use a gun today. Oh, because we're Indiana Jones with Disney. Hey, hey, hey. Anyway.
I'm kind of worried how this is going to affect gameplay. They're just going to start using his whip like it's a dang lightsaber or something like that. He's just whipping it all around the place.
Well, they're never going to get the chance to use that light whip again. So I guess they got to get some whip action.
We know how these folks over at Lucasfilm like their whips. Anyway, as to why they did not wish to portray the titular archaeologist as a full-blown gunslinger, Torvenius argued that his team's decision was based on the fact that, simply put, Indy doesn't have superpowers. Well, yeah, I have to ask
that's why he'd have the gun.
Yes, you beat me to the answer there. I was going to say, why would he need the gun? Because he doesn't have superpowers. So, anyway, continuing on.
If he had superpowers, he wouldn't need a gun.
That's true. Yeah. Continuing on, though, very often you can tell that it's not easy for him to be into a fight. Well, I don't think it's easy for anybody to be in a fight.
He was in a fight all the time, but he was in a fight all the time.
Yeah.
It was
All
like, how many
time.
fights did he get to in the first 3 movies? Whether it was a fist fight, a gunfight, a tank fight, a fight with an airplane, whatever it was, he was always getting into fights.
Yeah. No, you're on top of it all. And he says at the end of the day, he's a teacher and a somewhat clumsy archaeologist. He just happens to have this passion that puts him in these weird situations constantly with enemies and traps. And I would say that that's an inconsistent answer.
He's not clumsy.
Yeah.
When was he ever clumsy?
Never. Maybe in the Phoebe Waller-Bridge version, because we had to show how much less clumsy Phoebe Waller-Bridge was than him. Which is a because she looks like a gangly stork, so that is a challenge.
Well, yeah, and she seems quite the gangly stork. But anyway, so it wouldn't be true to the character to have him constantly shooting camps for all enemies constantly. And the team at Machine Games wants to emphasize the danger level. Torvenius continued. Wait a minute. Did we ever have trouble portraying the danger that Indy was in all the time?
No.
The danger was always present. I remember the one thing my dad told me when he showed me my first Indiana Jones movies was he always escapes at the last possible second, and I always loved that about him.
That's what a great thing. What a great thing. So anyway, he continued on saying some more things like, we've been trying to capture that sense that if you need to engage in combat, it's very dangerous to be shot at. It's also very dangerous to shoot at enemies because they will have an alarm system and reinforcements coming in. So
this sounds like the Star Wars debacle we just left. Does anybody remember this party? I feel like Han Solo. Didn't we just leave this party?
Yeah.
We just got rid of this. You need to sneak through 3/4 of the game and never be seen with clumsy AI mechanics and all kinds of stupid things going on in the game where you smack the back of the head of stormtroopers. If we see Indy walk up and barehanded slap a Yahtzee soldier with a helmet on in the back of the head, I am done. I am leaving this planet. I'm going into space, and I'm never coming back.
Well, I'm kind of
bon voyage, Loki, because I think it's happening.
Yeah, I think you might be rather disappointed. You guys are making me tear up now. All right.
Say hi to Dave for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Space Dave will enjoy the company. But no, it's look, jumping off of his colleagues' notes, game director Jerk. This guy's name is Jerk. Jerk.
That makes sense.
This guy's a real Jerk Gustafson. Everybody, I'm not kidding. Who was also
how much would your parents have to have hated you to name you that? I feel bad for the guy now.
I don't know that.
None of these guys that we've talked about are the narrative director, because that was the Edward Curtis Seves, who was like the walking rainbow flag that we saw when this game first got announced. I don't know. I have not seen him mentioned in this yet.
Yeah,
but
I look. I mean, all of that aside, I mean, we'll have to see what this mess looks like when it's done. But the fact that he jumped in on this interview saying we have a game where there's plenty of guns in there, but you choose not to use them because it's too loud.
It's a first person game.
Yeah.
It's a first person game. Who doesn't want? Who's ever heard of a first person game like this where you're not shooting?
Well,
does anybody remember Indiana Jones up on a cliff with a rocket launcher going, "Hello"?
aiming it at the Ark of the Covenant, no less.
Yeah.
If I wanted to play a stealth game, there's already much better examples with a good chunk of the Batman games in the past couple of years. So why would I want to be a stealthy Indiana Jones? That takes away part of the fun of the character.
I mean, I already had no interest in this game to begin with, just based on the things that they said when they first announced it about, modernizing for a modern audience and all this other stuff. But I mean, if you would have told me a couple years ago, like, hey, we're going to do like an Uncharted style or a Tomb Raider style game with Indiana Jones, I've been all in for it. But it's going to be first person. It looks like Doom or like Wolfenstein. And man, I have no interest in that for Indiana Jones.
Oh, and by the way, we have reached the narrative designer you were speaking of.
There he is.
And notably, this is not the first insight revealed regarding the narrative direction of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, directed by Jerk Gustafson. See, I got it in there. Anyway, per the game's senior narrative designer, Edward Curtis Seves, as detailed during the 2024 Xbox Dev Direct, the Great Circle, directed by Jerk Gustafson.
What kind of a name is that?
I don't
Great Circle?
Jerk Gustafson.
I hear it
I thought you
comes.
meant
Help
No, I didn't
out
mean
with-
jerk. I meant like.
Oh,
How long did it take him to come up with that title, The Great Circle?
I
It
don't
sounds
know.
like someone come up with in kindergarten.
I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe it's about flying because you fly in Great Circle. I don't know. Anyway, look, it's being viewed by Machine Games as a chance to tell a new Indiana Jones
comes.
story for the modern gaming audience. Ring the bell.
we
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, we've seen how well games for the modern gaming audience have performed of late. I believe studios have folded entirely.
Yeah, we've seen that happening. And look, I mean, anytime you see the modern gaming audience just read a total narrative trash bag that's currently on fire, about ready to release to nobody in particular. Yeah, that's what this is. But look, at current, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is set to begin whipping away its way across Windows PC, Xbox XS platforms on December 9th. There will be, like, I don't know, a couple hundred people that might buy this. Look, if the current marketplace is anything to judge, gentlemen, do you think that this game here with this indie over here is gonna sell?
Well, if you want to factor in the sales figures, just take whatever Dial of Destiny made, take that sales figure, which already was an abomination, take that to about a quarter, and then probably even less, and that's probably the amount of people that are going to buy this game.
Yeah, I think you're probably
Yeah.
right.
Knowing what games cost today, it's probably going to cost about as much as the Dial of Destiny. Well, no, never mind. That movie cost like $300 million. So, but yeah, no, I think that if this was an entirely different creative team and it was like a, like an Uncharted style Indiana Jones adventure, I think I'd be mildly interested in it. To the point where I would actually say I'd probably pre-order it. But first person with this creative team and very little gunplay, no, thank you.
No, I'm right with Marvin. This is a giant mistake. No, number one, the modern day audience doesn't care about Indiana Jones. As little as the modern day audience is, they don't care about Indiana Jones. We care about Indiana Jones because we grew up watching Indiana Jones. He's a hero. He's a legend. He's myth personified. We're the kind of people that get excited for these games. They don't really care about Indiana Jones, as we all saw, considering how Dial of Destiny flopped big time. So if that's where they're pushing this audience, is if that's who they want to come and play their game, by all means, y'all can have it.
Is there anything about Indiana Jones that actually fits in the criteria of what the modern audience would even really like, as in their eyes? Because like I would take like something like Star Wars, at least you can kind of make an example where there were some people, a whole 2 people that liked the Acolyte, but how many of this modern audiences are actually going to vouch for Indiana Jones? I feel like most people that went to see Dial of Destiny were just people that were tricked into seeing it. It's simple as that. At least I think.
Yeah, I have a feeling that there are going to be a lot of people that are going to completely ignore this, and good on them. The website is kind of weak. I think the distributor for it, if I'm not mistaken, is Bethesda. Is that correct?
Oh, that's not surprising.
And yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be something that people are going to largely wait and see, watch somebody else play before they throw their efforts into this game. I haven't been able to suss out whether or not this is a live service game, but if it is, it will explain an awful lot about the way this game is set up. If you have to have a constant connection, I think that's going to be a real problem. Look, final thoughts, gentlemen, if you have any, before we wrap this one up.
Quite a lot of detail in that Indiana Jones model, which actually looks incredible, I think, for a game that's, first person, so you'll barely be seeing it most of the time.
I already had very little interest in this game to begin with, and now I have negative interest. I nothing this game. I think this creative team is a blight.
Wow.
I think that it's just one more big insult to Indiana Jones in a year that tarnished the entire legacy of the character in a way that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull never even touched.
To add on to what Marvin was saying, I'm a huge old school fan of the old LucasArts point and click Indiana Jones adventure games. I love those games. I grew up on those games. Those were fun games. You didn't have developers going, well, I don't think he would do this. They were trying to get in as much Indiana Jones as possible. They added voice acting eventually. They were just trying to make a good Indiana Jones game. That's not what this sounds like these people want to do. It sounds like they want to make a game for a modern audience that goes by their values and their ideas of what Indiana Jones is instead of who Indiana Jones actually is. So,
do you think most of the people working on this game have seen all the Indiana Jones movies?
I doubt it.
I'm sure they saw Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we've had our thoughts here, folks. I'm not very excited about this game. Are you? Are you out there in the audience interested in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? Is it something you think you'll want to play now that you're hearing more and more about it, and the fact that apparently guns are going to be discouraged, which I don't get. I mean, you can't just whip your way through everything in life. You just can't. What do you think this game will end up being? Do you think we're right in to expect it won't do very well, knowing that it's now just an Xbox exclusive and PC as well? Do you think that leaving PlayStation out of the mix was something that was done on purpose? And is this actually Microsoft betraying what they said they wouldn't do, which is to make games exclusive once they acquired large studios that used to release them to everybody? I think there's a lot of things to investigate here. Maybe playing this game isn't one of them. And that's it for today, folks. Thanks for watching the video. And as we always say, get your game on!